bringing the host to the altar, carrying the book up the aisle, that sort of thing. As a young child, it had seemed fascinating to me. I wanted to be the one to help out the priest, just like the big kids. As I got older, it seemed darker somehow, more serious and subdued. When my father told me the news, I didn't feel like I had been given an important job. I felt like I was being offered up on an altar as a sacrifice. In order to be a server, we had to be trained by the priest first. It sounds hard, but all you really had to do was sit with the priest one afternoon in the sacristy and listen to him explain your duties. Our priest was a nice old man named Father Augustine. It wasn't his real name, he'd once told us, but a name he took to honor St. Augustine. Because, as he said, St. Augustine lived his life as a sinner and was only saved by the grace of God. I too have sinned, and I too look for the grace of God to save me, he'd said. My only comfort when my dad dropped me off at the church was that at least I wouldn't be alone. Father Augustine would be with me. I went around to the back of the church, slipping into a side door that led to a narrow flight of stairs. It would bring me right to the sacristy, and maybe I wouldn't have to go into the church proper. But of course, life is never so generous. Father Augustine wasn't in the sacristy. Even after 10 minutes of waiting, he wasn't there. I was going to have to look for him. It took me another 5 minutes to work up the nerve to exit the other side of the sacristy. On shaking legs, I stepped out into the church, my eyes fixed firmly on the ground in front of me. I forced myself to walk until I was standing next to the altar, and then I raised my eyes just a little. Father Augustine was standing in the middle of the church. He was looking up at the ceiling, his brow furrowed. For one horrible, panicky moment, I wondered if he was talking to God about me. If God was telling him what a horrible child I was. If they were conspiring to, Anthony. There you are. I shook myself out of my panicked spiral of thought and blinked at Father Augustine. He was beaming at me as always, and I let the fear seep out of my chest. Father Augustine would never let God take me away like that, surely. He'd always been kind to me. He would protect me. I rushed down the stairs to meet him, and he laughed a little. Slow down, boy. No need to be so eager. I've spoken to your father, and he told me that you were a little nervous today. Is that so? With Father Augustine smiling at me, I felt a little foolish for being so afraid. I could almost feel the tips of my ears burning as I mumbled, "Just a little, sir." "But I'll be all right," he chuckled a bit. "Well, if it's all right with you, I thought that we could do your lesson over in the rectory. It might make you less nervous rather than staying in this stuffy old church all morning." What do you think? What did I think? I thought I would cry for joy. Trust Father Augustine to always know what was best for me. I opened my mouth to take him up on his offer, plip. A spot of black appeared on his Roman collar. His eyes slid down, his brow furrowed again, confusion plain on his face. Like rain on a wedding day. My face probably looked much the same, trying to figure out what was happening. Plip, plip, plip. Another streak of black, this one landing on his cheek. 2 more came down on his shoulders, but they were nearly indistinguishable from the black of his robes. "What the?" he began, his confusion growing in the tension that thickened the air. Then suddenly, the confusion was gone and agony was in its place. Father Augustine started to scream, just as the smoke began to rise from his skin. The piece of the church was shattered, fragmented, as he began to claw at the black sludge smoking on his flesh. His scream seemed to break a barrier of some kind, and the black sludge began to pour from the ceiling like torrential rain. My screams joined his as I stumbled backwards, tripping over